And Rosie, what are you making if we want to come over and have some?
It is pasta with bacon, parsley, and butter.
All right, we're in. We'll be there.
You had me at bacon.
Yeah,
Seriously.
me too.
Well, welcome everybody to our new member host training. And training's a pretty strong word. We're just trying to kind of orient you to the task ahead and also making sure that we've got a little bit of a framework, and most importantly, wanting to thank you for the role that you're going to play in welcoming some new members to our church. I don't know who else isn't on the call. Whittier's here because he's going to play host to a high schooler who's joining the church. And then Sean isn't able to be with us, but she's hosting that high schooler's mother. Something I'm going to say to you that is going to sound like it's pressure, and it's not. But you have a role to play in people getting acclimated to the life of our church. When we think about what do we want church to be, we want it to be a place where people feel included and that they belong. And those are basic to all of us as in terms of being human beings. We want to be included and we want to belong. And when I think about what it means to be included and to belong at a church, believe it or not, I think about a bar, and I think about a particular bar. I think about 1980s, and I think about Cheers. And you may remember the theme song to Cheers was "Where Everybody Knows Your Name." One of the most affirming things in life is walking into a space and having people call out your name and to acknowledge you're there. And when it comes to new members, some new members have found some places and spaces and they're getting to be known a little bit, but others are hoping that someone's going to introduce them, help them find their place and find their people. And that really begins with you as the first place where some of these new members are known and get a chance to know more. It's not all up to you. I mean, ultimately, a relationship between somebody and a congregation is the work of the Holy Spirit, but certainly you have a part to play in supporting the work of the Holy Spirit. So I thank you. One of the old adages for churches like ours is that big churches have big back doors, that we do a great job of saying, come on in, we're so excited. But when the person stops coming to worship and hasn't found a place to plug in and isn't around, and then nobody says, we've missed you. And then they begin to go, well, maybe I'm not missed, and maybe it wasn't my church. And once upon a time, statistics told us that for every 6 weeks that someone wasn't connected to something other than worship, you cut in half the likelihood that they would stay a member of the church. And so we don't want to be a church that has big back doors. As you all know, we're not a mega church, but we are actually in the top 1% of Presbyterian congregations by size in the United States. And we're actually among the top 10% of faith communities by size in the United States at about 1,500 members. And here's a truth about any church, but especially about churches of our size. We are hard to get to know and to figure out. Any organization has its own language, has its own ways of doing things. And the bigger you are, the more complex it is, and the more opaque some of the ways that you do things are, which is why having a host family, I sometimes think of part of your role is an inviter, and part of your role is a translator. And I'll just give you an example. If maybe your host family involves a woman who might or might not want to be a part of PW, but she simply reads in the bulletin, PW 7 meets on Thursday night at 7:00. What is PW? If you didn't grow up Presbyterian, if you didn't grow up Presbyterian in the South, because in a lot of northern churches, they don't have PW anymore, you don't know what PW is. And you go, oh, that's a Presbyterian women's circle. And they go, what's a circle? It's kind of like a half Bible study, half fellowship group. It kind of depends on the group of women, but they get together monthly. Some of them use an actual study produced by the national organization, but you get my drift. Just having in the bulletin, PW Circle 7 meets on Thursday means nothing to a new member. And so part of your job is not only inviting people to the things that you find enjoyable or life-giving for you, but translating so that folks can kind of find their way into places that might be of interest. So I am excited that you all have signed on to be translators and inviters of a sort. ultimately, when I think about what it means to be a host family, it's being a good neighbor to the people who want to be neighbors to us in the life of the church. And Stephanie, how is your voice? Are you able to talk a little bit about the job description you included?
It's not super great, honestly. So I'm
All
going to put it up here. And if you could go through it, that would be awesome. If you guys can see that. There we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
One of the nice things about this job description that Stephanie wrote for you is it kind of gives you a timeline. Because look, you're not in this for 5 years. And like I said, it's not all up to you. But Stephanie's given a couple of kind of marking points along a timeline that might help you think about how could I help somebody become part of the life of DCPC over the next 6 months or so. One of the things that I really appreciate about what the membership committee has been doing recently is having some specific occasions where they try and invite new members and host families, because we're aware sometimes host families have never met the new members. And sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a framework, some scaffolding, people to provide an opportunity, an activity, some questions, or some specific thing to be invited to. So I'm really appreciative of Stephanie not only having the new member class on Sunday as a chance for you to meet some people. And so I do want to highlight that the new members are joining this Sunday. They're going to be meeting at 8:45 in the Student Center. And Stephanie, it looks to me, if I read it right, that we're inviting these host families to come at 8:45, meet the new families, but you get a bug out when the families start actually hearing the things about the church from Robert and Stephanie. Is that correct, Stephanie?
That's right. So you'll just be there for the introductory piece of the program. And it usually takes about an hour. So we'll have coffee and breakfast foods at 8:45. And then you're going to stay for the circle where everybody introduces themselves.
And JD, if you're there, you're allowed to wear your kilt. It's Reformation Sunday. I'm wearing my kilt. Just want to make sure you saw that. So
Please do that.
and then, but I also, hey, in the spirit of the Reformation, if you've got lederhosen, wear it. The Reformation came out of Germany. If you've got wooden shoes, Holland was a big stalwart in the Reformation. Wear your wooden shoes. And truthfully, these days, if you want to talk about real bright spots in the ongoing Reformation, places like Kenya, Malawi, South Africa, if you've got clothing from those areas, that's a nice homage to the Reformation. You'll also see, in addition to meeting your families on Sunday, being invited, if you can, to come to dinner on Wednesday night, November 8th. It's a great chance to sit down and break bread with your new member family at a church event. And then you'll see Stephanie's got some other things that she identifies in months 2 through 6. Stephanie, anything you want to do to punctuate that? Say.
Just that the dinner at the congregation house is just a normal Wednesday dinner. And there won't be any like programming specific to new members and host families, but you will be introduced there. And speaking of introductions, I did forget to mention, we're going to give you a script for Sunday. So there's like about 3 or 4 things that we want everybody to say so it can stick to the hour time frame. So I'll write that out for you and send it before Sunday. So the other, sorry, Peter,
Yeah.
you did ask me, the new member host family gathering is the second thing that you see there after the Wednesday dinner. And that's just 1 hour of pure just games. It's icebreakers and games and snacks. There's no programming whatsoever. It's just really fun. And then at the end, we offer a tour to the new members, and you can go with them if you want to, but you don't have to. Because some people, especially we found that, joined during the pandemic, they had never been to the second floor of our main building. And they didn't know that we had a youth lounge in the congregation house. So the tour is really fun for those folks.
Thank you for that, Stephanie. Oh, and so you'll see at the end of the section that talks about months 2 through 6, Stephanie's got a couple of questions that you might think about as kind of wrapping up your time with them. What did they find helpful in the membership class? What questions they still have? And have they become involved outside of just worship? If at any point while you're trying to help your new members find their way around, you're not all on your own, meaning Stephanie, membership committee, if you don't know the answer to something, they will be happy to help you get the answer so that folks can get acclimated. But I want to frame a different question than the ones that she has. Those are questions to ask your new members. I think when you ask, how am I going to be as a new member host family? A question to ask yourself is, what helped you get connected to DCPC when you joined? Maybe some of you have been around for a little while and maybe can't remember. I don't know. But if you've joined any time in recent memory, what helped you? What was something good? Or a different question to ask is, what do you find particularly life-giving at DCPC that you might be able to share? Are you part of a women's circle? Invite someone from your host family to that. Do you really enjoy the men's night fellowship? If there's a middle-aged guy in your host family, get him to come to Summit on the first Monday of the month and meet with some of the other men from the church. But if there's a particular area in the church that's connected to you, that's life-giving for you, think about inviting your new members to that. And that might be a place to get it started. So we'll pause there. I've talked a lot. Stephanie's chimed in. What questions or comments from you all about what we're asking of you? And because I'm going to conclude with a cautionary tale, but first want to hear any questions.
No questions, but I appreciate the effort in planning specific events. We have been host families before, but it was years ago, and there was not an organized this on this day, this on this day, this on this day. So I think that will help a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely more robust than I remember 5 years ago. Yeah.
Well, we continue to try and work on it, which is an important piece.
Yeah, a lot of this came about because of the pandemic and the
Ah.
fact that we had so many people joining on Zoom that had
Yeah.
never seen each other in person.
Yeah.
So we started thinking outside the box of like, how can we
Yeah.
get these people together finally?
Yeah.
And
that
we had
makes
so
sense.
much fun at these things that we decided to keep doing them.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So thanks, COVID.
Something you don't hear often.
That's right. So the first time we meet them will be on the 29th in the morning.
That's right.
Okay.
They don't even know that you exist yet, but they will at the end of this week.
Don't tell them that because they're going to think they can back out. We don't want that. They know you exist. They're counting on you, Brad Beer.
That's
Ooh.
right. That's right. Yeah, but so yeah, you don't have to feel like you have to reach out to them until Sunday because it's not till after the class that I put them in Realm anyway. So there's no contact information out there for you to see.
They're probationary at this point, right?
That's right. That's right. They're in their trial period.
Ballot.
Probies. Yeah.
And we should plan on going to the 11 o'clock service for them to be joined.
If you can, it's not required obviously at all because that's a long time to have to stay at church. But if you can go or you can come back, that'd be awesome.
And we're going to welcome them at the very end of 11 o'clock worship. So, I mean, this is a very serious thing, what I'm about to say. If being at church from 8:45 to 12 doesn't work, and who does it really work for? Primarily only the minister, and sometimes the minister's family. Come on back. Because we're going to introduce them at the very end of 11 o'clock. So if you're able to slide back for a couple minutes at the end of 11 o'clock, that's cool, but that might not even work too. As Stephanie said, it's literally not a requirement to be there. So.
Yeah, the way that we've designed the classes now, we are going to give you time at the end of the introductory period to really talk to them for a second before you have to leave. So you'll get a good closure at that point.
I'm also teaching Sunday school, so
Yeah, there you go.
I'll be there.
Oh
You're
my
allowed to go
goodness.
home.
Yeah.
I just blessed you.
Oh my goodness.
Stephanie, if they already go to 9:45, they'll still would be going to 11 that day, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
right.
Want to make sure.
And just out of curiosity, do you guys know the names of your families? And if you don't yet, that's cool. But who are you guys hosting? Like Brad?
Jay Harris.
What's his name?
Who?
A guy named Jay Harris, and there's going to be the second one in the church, right?
Yes.
That's not
Yeah,
the
it's
first
gonna be-
Jay Harris.
Yeah, no. So we're going to have to give him a nickname or something.
Okay.
We actually thought about asking Jay Harris to host Jay
That
Harris.
would be funny.
That would
That
be
would
Just
be
for a
awesome.
second.
It's not too late, Stephanie.
No, that was just for a second. Then we were like, no,
Okay.
no.
Not too late.
All right.
We have Clayton and Eric.
Oh, great. That's cool. They're a great family.
We have John and Susan Reeves.
John and Susan who?
Reeves.
I don't think I know the Reeves. All right.
You'll meet them.
Yeah.
I don't either.
Yep, neither I.
Rosie, how about you?
We have is it the Thurmans?
Okay.
Thurmans, yes, Matthew and Becky.
And they have children?
They do.
2 boys?
They're 5 years old and 22 months.
Boys
Oh.
though, right?
I think they're both boys. I don't have
Yeah,
that. right
I'm
in
telling you,
front of
that's
me.
the flip-flop family.
Oh, it is?
I think so. Yeah,
There's
yeah.
an age gap that big?
Yeah. Sometimes the boys come walking into church in flip-flops. I love it. I'm a little jealous when my feet are hurting in my dress shoes. And then Amy and Barry, how about you guys? Do you know who you're hosting?
No, we need some help. Stephanie,
Okay.
help us
Oh,
out.
yeah. It's Stephen and Lauren Billings. And they have first and second graders and they live in Creek's Edge in Mooresville.
Okay, cool. And then Whittier has got,
I have Ada Hicks.
who's gonna be, is an 11th grader. And then Sean, my spouse, Whittier's mom, is hosting Ada's mother, Catherine Bagwell. Oh, good folks.
Yep.
So here's my little cautionary tale. When we just did our congregational survey, we asked questions about membership, and we had one or two folks say, I never heard from my host family after the Sunday I joined. And the good news is those people are still members, and they felt confident enough to be able to put that in the survey. And don't get me wrong, any church ministry, we've got places where we could do a little bit better, where we could pick up the pace a little bit. But I'm also aware that when someone, especially in this day and age, puts themselves out to become a member of a church and says, here I am, I'd love to be a part, we want to honor what is in some cases for people making themselves vulnerable and being excited about this opportunity to know and be known. And so do take seriously, again, it's not all up to you, and you don't have to do everything for new members, but they're at a point where they want to be connected. And we want to take that energy and interest they have, do our best to match it up with the life of our congregation. And I really appreciate you all being willing to do that because it makes a difference. Stephanie, anything else you want to add onto this to wrap it up? Because we told folks we weren't going to keep them on all night.
That's right. Just a huge thank you to saying yes, and a
Uh-huh.
huge thank you for being here and for being here on Sunday.
And the thank you, like you all know, we're at a time when isolation and loneliness are rampant, and to have folks who are willing to say, yeah, you do belong here, and we're going to help you find your place, that matters. So we are really grateful that you're willing to do that. Like that is a huge deal in this day and age. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Way to do it.
All right.
Look forward to it.
Yeah.
Rosie, are you guys eating yet?
No, but I'm almost done. I just got to mix it together.
All right.
Thanks.
We're going to let you go do that.
Okay.
All right. And Hayden gets excited whenever he sees Whittier around Huff.
Aw,
Hey, well, Hayden was hooping it up the other night at UCOOP. Did he tell you, like, he was the
Did.
star in that basketball night?
He did.
He should go out for the Huff basketball team.
Basketball?
You were up in the mountains that day, but we
He
had
loved that you told him that too.
Yeah.
He said, Pastor Henry says I should play Huff basketball.
He was awesome. He was really good. So, wow. All right, everybody, you take care. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good
night.
See you Sunday
Bye.
morning. Bye.